Hello. There we go. Hello.
Good morning and welcome to today's press conference. We'll start out with head coach Troy Taylor. Coach, if we could have an opening statement regarding game in Hawaii, looking forward to USC.
Yeah, good to get a good start on the road, got a win and play a great team, obviously, this weekend and start Pac-12 play. What do you guys got?
We'll take questions. Please use the raise hand feature and we will call on you in the order that we receive the hand. Steve, you're up first.
Troy, how you doing? Anyway, Troy, excuse me. When Brent Brennan was going to play SC a couple of weeks ago, I'm paraphrasing, but maybe not by much. He said that Caleb Williams might be the best player against whom he's ever coached. How good do you think Caleb Williams is?
Yeah, really talented. The thing that when you watch him on tape, he's really hard to get on the ground. I mean, he's a difficult tackle. So he extends plays, and then obviously he has the ability to make, every throw. So when you're trying to cover for, 8-9 seconds, that makes it difficult. So yeah, very talented guy.
Thank you. Troy?
Yeah, Coach, going back to the Hawaii game, overall grand scheme of things, when you look back at the tape, haven't had a chance to really truly check everything out. How would you grade out the squad, offense, defense, special teams overall?
Good. I mean, going in, as I told you guys, it was such a young team. You're waiting to kind of see how they're going to react during adversity when things don't go great on the road. And they did a great job. They hung in there. There were a number of different times where the momentum could have swung the other way, and I thought all three phases of the game were great. Defensively, obviously, those guys can really throw the ball, and we gave up some yards, but not a lot of points. And then offensively, I felt like we scored on 6 of our last 7 times we got the ball, and then Josh just is a weapon. We feel like we got 3 points once we cross about the 40 if we take care of the ball. So yeah, I was very pleased with how they played. It was not perfect, obviously. We got lots to improve. Hopefully that will happen this weekend. But in general, anytime you can go on the road and play well enough to win and overcome some challenges and momentum, you're proud of your guys. We want to be a resilient team that just continues to play each play, no matter what the situations, and show great resolve. And I thought we did that.
Thank you. Harold?
Hi, Coach. It's because of the schedule with Notre Dame, Stanford and USC have historically played in week 2 every season. I guess, first of all, what are your thoughts on playing a conference game this early? And also, would you like to see that series continue with USC kind of going forward now that you'll be in different conferences?
Yeah, I mean, I it is what it is. I don't spend a lot of time on, wishing for things or whatever. So we're very pleased to be in the ACC next year, and enjoyed our matchups. I think historically Stanford USC has been a great matchup. We're playing them week 2 or week 8 or whatever. It makes no difference really. So we're just excited to have the opportunity.
Thank you. John?
Coach, just drilling down on Ashton and his running, he carried it 11 times. Seemed like he had a real feel for blocking and sort of pacing the runs. Kind of speak to, will there be a range of runs with him depending on the opponent? How do you sort of coach, your quarterback, you want to sort of keep him protected, but running's a part of your philosophy. How is he as a runner, and how are you coaching that?
It's a great question. It's, it is kind of a feel for the game and week by week. We will run the quarterback. Not everybody will do that. And so we'll always have that in our arsenal. He's a good runner. He's very physical. He's strong. He's got good vision. And so we'll pick our spots. Obviously he ran the ball quite a few times. Don't know if he'll run it as much this week. We'll just see kind of how it plays out. But, the dual threat quarterback is obviously something that gives us benefit in the run game with the additional hat. And so, yeah, he's a good runner.
Thank you, John. Steve?
Get Troy, kind of following up from John's question. Yeah, I didn't get your post game on Friday night, so you probably addressed this, but what did separate Ashton from the other QBs during camp that earned him the starting job?
Well, it was very close. It was not by, one of those things where it was really clear. Both guys, Justin and Ashton played very well, and Ari did good things as well. Feel good about him. So, it was just one of those things that we just felt like he was played slightly better in the closing weeks, but I still have a lot of confidence in Justin and Ari that if need be, they can come in. It was really not one of those situations where the other guy or guys didn't play well. It was just that Ashton was played just a little bit better. But you go into game, you see what happens. I thought he performed well. His demeanor was really good throughout the game. He made good decisions. He never got flustered. He did a good job taking care of the football, and so I was pleased how he played.
And maybe to follow up on that, I liked your quote from last week where you said sometimes with quarterbacks they're like tea bags, you don't know till you put them in hot water. At what point in the hot water at Hawaii did you realize Ashton's got this?
Yeah, I think you're always wondering what they're seeing when it becomes when you get into a game and there's live bullets flying, and people are in their face, and he did a really good job of when he'd come to the sidelines. I would ask him what he saw, and it was always really clear. So that leads me to believe that he's seeing it really well. It's not too fast for him, and then just his demeanor, you can see it in his facial expressions and the tightness of their skin sometimes and their eyes, all those things that we kind of all do as human beings. You can also see that on the sideline, and he was the same guy, right, that he was in practice, really.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Troy?
Health-wise, injury-wise, personnel-wise, anything we need to be aware of for this upcoming week as far as who might be up, who might be down?
No, we look pretty healthy. We'll see with Jimmy Wyrick, and I feel that'll be a game time decision. But we feel pretty good about our health. Obviously, we practiced today, so we'll know more moving forward. But all in all, I think we came out in pretty good shape.
Thank you, Troy. Ben?
Yeah, just thoughts on the point spread with USC. It's like almost a 30-point spread, I think. Just is that something you talk about with the team at all, or how does you kind of manage a game where you guys aren't expected to even come close? How do you deal with that? And have you brought it up to them?
Yeah, no, we're very focused on the preparation process and all that. No, you just as a competitor and as somebody who's coaching a lot of games and players have played in a lot of games, you prepare, and regardless of those things, those really don't impact the game. So we're very focused on our process, and we're excited for the opportunity, and it should be fun.
Harold?
The offensive line was, a combination of guys starting for the first time, starting at Stanford for the first time, starting a new position, for the first time. How would you kind of evaluate their performance?
Good. It was most of the group had very little experience. So, again, that's a position where things are moving really fast. It's dynamic. Things are changing constantly, pre-snap, post-snap, and opponents typically do different things when you get in a game, so they can try and confuse the offensive line. And I thought they did a good job. They hung in there. Again, it wasn't like our entire team. It wasn't perfect. We got lots we can improve, but generally speaking, I was proud how they competed and how they played.
Thank you, John.
Coach, I know you're still learning about your team, your defense. Other than David Bailey, who obviously stood out visually and as well as statistics, was there a player or two on defensively that stood out on the tape to you?
Yeah, I think we covered for a really long time. So I thought our corners and our safeties did a nice job. There were times where, they kept guys in and they had a little time to throw, and I thought we hung in there. I thought we played pretty cleanly. I thought we played hard up front. I thought our backers were good. Again, there's tons we can improve, but as a starting point against a team that's pretty challenging, throwing the football, I was really proud of how we played.
John? Okay, we'll go to Ben.
Yeah, just talk about what it's like having a rivalry game kind of this early in the season. Your first year at the program. Just how fun is it to kind of kickstart the year this early with a big kind of hyped rivalry game?
Yeah, I mean, I don't look at it that way. I appreciate the rivalries, and I think like I said, I think earlier, it's what college football is all about is those battles and those rivalries that have been going on for hundreds of years or whatnot. So I think it's really cool, and I know the fans appreciate it. For me personally, they're really all the same. They're all really important. This happens to be a team that we've played and Stanford's played in the past. And it's been a great rivalry, and they're a really good team, and we're playing in a really historic place in the LA Coliseum. So it's all pretty cool. But to be honest with you, once you get on the field and when you're preparing, they're really kind of a faceless opponent that you're just, coming up with strategy and the preparation. And you really don't think about all those other things.
Troy?
How would you sum up how things went in the short yardage game offensively against Hawaii last week?
Yeah, there were some good things. I think we were 4 for 7. I think couple opportunities. I think that we could have executed better, but it was good. It was kind of like the game. It was a mixed bag. There were certain things that I was really proud of, some clean plays, and then there was some stuff that we got to definitely improve on. So it was microcosm really of the whole game. Pretty good, but stuff we can improve on.
Harold?
How do you prepare for a player like going up against a player like Caleb Williams? What do you think the keys are to kind of slowing him down?
Well, I mean, you got to try and keep him in the pocket. That's one of those things that's really easy to say, but hard to achieve. I mean, he's good in the pocket, so you got to get pressure on him, but try and contain him. The elongated plays are really difficult to cover, just because it's just difficult to cover guys for that long. But he'll hurt you in the pocket as well. So he's a player that doesn't really have any weaknesses, and he's got exceptional talent around him, especially at the wide receiver spot. The slot wide receivers are really talented. So you got to cover for a long time, and you got to try and contain a guy that is a great thrower and a great runner.
Back to Ben.
Yeah, kind of going back to the Hawaii game, are there any aspects of that game where you feel like, man, we could really improve in this area? Are there any things you kind of learned from that game where you feel like maybe Hawaii tested you in certain ways that you now can improve upon and say, oh, we have a bit of a weakness here, we need to address those kind of lessons from that game to send out?
Yeah, I didn't see any weaknesses that glared out. But in the same sense, I didn't feel like we dominated in any specific area as well. I thought we were good, and obviously a little bit better than them in most areas. So, but we got to step up our game this week. We got to improve regardless of who we're playing. We got to play better, and the goal is to become a better team as the week goes on. That doesn't always happen with teams. They don't always get better. Sometimes you'll see teams get worse. So we got to continue to improve, and so that we're a little better team this week than we were last, and so on and so forth. And then by the end of the year, hopefully we're playing our best football.
John?
Coach, nitpicking a little bit here, Moody, 6 targets, just 2 receptions. I know he's a young player. He's learning your system. I think he has a world of talent. Was that sort of the nature of the routes that he tends to run, that there was a misconnect? Or just sort of tell us about Moody and how you're trying to work him into your pass game concepts.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's really talented. He is inexperienced, and when you get out in a game situation, you're going to be tested a little bit more. We feel great about him. I think he is a very talented guy. But yeah, there were a couple of things that we can improve in our technique and our routes, and leaving the quarterback a little bit more space, and all those things, which are all correctable. So we expect good things, but yeah, we'd like to definitely get him a few more completions.
Troy?
Having stepped onto that field as a player, what are your memories of playing at the Coliseum against USC, and how special is it going to be being in that historic venue as the head coach leading a team into the Coliseum?
Yeah, it's a great place. I mean, there's obviously tons of history, not just football wise, but tons of history. It's a great place, great venue. Yeah, a lot of good memories and some not so good memories, just your typical deal. But it's always fun, playing these guys, and it should be a great evening.
John?
And coach, sort of following up on that in the venue, as you know, USC, the band plays when they're on defense a lot. So that's commotion for the quarterback. And you've got a young man who'll be starting for the second time in Ashton. I mean, how will you coach to that either, this week, both this week, and then as you step onto that field and work with him first quarter, second quarter, and so forth?
Yeah, well, they shouldn't be playing when we're over the ball or on the ball. But yeah, I think again, very process oriented. It's a big venue and all those things, but I think our guys are ready to just kind of focus in. We don't talk about specific games. They're all really important. We're a mindful group, so you only get to play 12, so we don't put any more intention in this game than we would any other. Now a few more people may pay attention, and the outward things, that's understandable, but for us, it's a game against a really good team, and I think Ashton will be ready to play, and I think he'll be focused just like he was in week 1.
Ben?
Just, going back, talk about David Bailey, just the weapon that he is defensively and how integral he's going to be to your defensive efforts to contain in a really potent Trojan offense.
Yeah, David, we saw it all spring and all fall camp. He's a very difficult guy to protect and difficult to block in the run game. He's just so active. He's so powerful. He's quick. And he's, in the way we utilize him as defense, they have him do different things. He'll drop into coverage. He'll rush the passer. And you got to account for him in protection, which obviously, affects your offensive scheme. I know it did when we went against him. So yeah, he's a really special player. Wasn't surprised by it all by how he played. We've seen that for quite a while. So he's a big part of our defense, and he'll be important on Saturday night.
Any last questions for head coach? All right.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right, we are here with Scotty Edwards. We'll take questions in the same way we took them for coach. Ben, you're up first.
Scotty, could you just talk about the blitz you did there and just kind of how fun was it to get a sack in this one against?
Yeah, the blitz, it was a 4th down call. I wasn't actually expecting the blitz on the play. The call came. I was excited. I knew it was me. And we got the look that we wanted. The guard slid to me, and I was able to make a move. And yeah, just super exciting, that being my first sack and able to make a big play on 4th down and help the team get off the field. So yeah, it was awesome.
Thank you, Ben. Troy?
Yeah, Scotty, in some ways, Hawaii, a team that throws the ball very well. USC, obviously, a team that throws the ball very well themselves. But in some ways, and in what ways could last week have been a good dress rehearsal for what you guys might face this week?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you know, Hawaii threw a great deep ball. And so all week we were harping on getting deep, staying on our guys, plastering guys as the QB broke the pocket. So I think it was a great warm up for this week and helping us be prepared for the dynamic offense that USC does have. And so, yeah, I think it was a great first week to get us prepared for this week.
John?
Your Coach Taylor complimented your whole defensive backfield on timing and things of that nature in the Hawaii game. Can you speak to how it did seem visually to us in the radio booth that You guys were sort of contacting right when the ball arrived, so it just seemed for a first game it was really on point. Can you speak to how you've been coached up to do that, or sort of why is it seeming so crisp at such an early stage of the season?
Yeah, going into the game, we had a great scheme prepared for us by the coaches. And so throughout the whole week, we were getting great looks from our practice guys. And so just throughout the week, we were practicing those looks and we were trying our best to be tight on coverage. And so luckily for us, those things that we practiced during the week were able to translate over into the game. And so credit to the coaches and just the great looks that we were getting in practice all week to prepare us.
Harold?
How would you kind of describe the challenge of going up against Caleb Williams this week?
Yeah, I mean, we all know he's an amazing player. He can throw the deep ball. He's hard to bring down. And so we're going to have to be really good in our fundamentals this week in tackling, and especially tackling around the quarterback and getting him on the ground. We're an aggressive defense, and so we're going to bring pressure. And so just when we have the opportunities, we're going to need to make those count and get him on the ground.
Ben?
Yeah, could you just talk about the defense you guys are installing under Bobby April and just how much fun is that? I mean, I mentioned the blitz earlier, but just talk about the defense. What is Mike adjusting to it, and just kind of your thoughts and how much kind of fun and enjoyment you're getting out of learning a new system and playing in that system.
Yeah, I've loved the defense. Like I said, it's a super aggressive defense, and it's fun because different guys are able to play different spots around the field. I love being a safety and being able to blitz. I think that's awesome, and just screwing with the quarterback's eyes and his reads. I think it's been a great defense, and so we're still trying to learn it and get better at it. And so week by week we're going to get better, and this week we'll be prepared for the Trojans.
Troy?
You're a sophomore, but I'm sure you're well aware of what Stanford USC and what this rivalry and what this series has meant over the decades, and what it especially has become over the last 15 years or so. What does this rivalry mean to you? What's your sense of what it means to the veterans on the squad as well?
Yeah. I mean, I've only been in the program for a year now, but I do understand the historic rivalry that it has been. And I was on the team last year when they beat us here at home. And so all the guys on the team remember that. And so we're excited to go in and play at a historic place like the Coliseum, but we take these things week by week. And so we're going to prepare the same as we would prepare any other week. But we do understand what they did to us last year. And so we do remember that. And so we're going to be ready, and we're excited.
Thank you. John?
Scotty, I would consider you fortunate in the sense that you had a terrific veteran coach on the prior staff for the defensive backs, Coach Aquina, and now with Coach Gregory. There's a wealth of experience there. And I'm sort of always fascinated by, good veteran coaches, and maybe a phrase or two they say to a player or something that sticks in your mind about, how that you take with you into games. Is there something Coach Gregory has done to benefit you here early on in your sort of player coach relationship that helps you on the field? Just something that ticks in your mind that the way he describes something or something he shows on film?
Yeah. I mean, like you said, I've been blessed to be around amazing coaches and very experienced coaches. Something that Coach Gregory has just talked a lot about with us in the safeties room. I think the first time I ever talked to Coach Gregory, he just talked about the importance of being physical. We're going to be a physical defense, and we're going to be a physical safety room. And so we really try hard to be physical, and we practice physically. And so just that mindset of being violent on the field and being as physical as we can be is definitely something that we're all cognizant of and thinking of throughout the week in the game.
Back to Ben.
Yeah, just what's it like being part of a new new faces in the secondary, guys like Caillou gone, Kendall Williamson gone, Jonathan McGill gone. Just kind of what's it like being in a room where a lot of you guys are going to have to kind of step up and take expanded roles from what you had last year?
Yeah. Like you said, it's a completely new secondary, but we were all blessed to be able to learn from awesome examples and great players. And so with them being gone, we've really tried to create our identity as a new secondary. And we've worked super hard this offseason in the spring, in the summer, and the fall. And we have good camaraderie. And so we're able to trust each other in situations. And so I think all of that, and just with the new staff, we've had to lean on each other through these times. And so I think all of that's has translated and helps us trust each other on the field. So yeah.
Troy?
Scotty, as a safety, I'm sure you appreciate it when the guys up front are getting after the quarterback and getting it done. What did you make of the pass rush, and especially what David Bailey was able to do against the Rainbow Warriors last week?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the pass rush is huge for us. It's hard to cover for a super long time. And so guys like David, guys like Tobin and Anthony and Lance, dudes who can get to the quarterback, it's awesome. And they're all great players. David had a great game, and so we're super lucky to have great guys and guys who can get to the quarterback, which helps us play better coverage and play better defense in the back end.
Any other questions for Scotty? All right, thank you so much. All right, same format as before. We have Connor here. Questions, please use the raise hand function. Ben?
Yeah, Connor, could you just talk about what's it been like working with two offensive line coaches? That's kind of a unique situation. Just what's that dynamic been like, and what have been the positives of that?
Yeah, it's been a good experience so far. I've really liked it. There's definitely a wealth of knowledge between the two. I was a little worried about like if they'd be conflicting on some things, but it's been really smooth and works out really well. Practice goes really smoothly, and there's obviously, like I said before, a lot of different areas of critique and knowledge when we go through film. So I've enjoyed it a lot.
Troy?
Connor, your thoughts on how the offensive line performed overall against Hawaii, some high points and maybe some things to work on for this upcoming week against the Trojans.
Yeah, ultimately we left a lot of meat on the bone. And like I heard before, a lot of first-time starters, a lot of guys dipping their feet in the water. So not to say to be expected, but there's obviously going to be a lot of improvement this next upcoming week. We definitely did some good things too, but kind of make everything watertight and get everything right for this week. And I think we're gonna have a much better week this week.
Thank you, Troy. John?
Connor, we've seen the practices in the up tempo, and obviously you're getting a lot more reps now as a starter. And obviously earlier in your life, you've played full games and whatnot, but sort of talk about the stamina component, how you think you've fared and how you're adjusting to that.
Definitely a big switch from the huddle tempo we used to have. So I've enjoyed it a lot. We made a big emphasis after the spring and the off season to work on conditioning and really applicable like up tempo conditioning that would translate into the actual games. So it hasn't been that hard of an adjustment, and we worked really hard this camp. So it's been good, and I think our practices do a really good job emulating what the game feels like.
Harold?
Oh, hey, Connor, he's making your first start on the road's never easy. How was Ashton's demeanor, in the huddle during the game, and what did you think of his performance?
Yeah, Ashton was great. Whole game, he was cool as a cucumber. Makes everyone else feel better. Really good. I think it calmed everyone else down, and he showed a lot of poise, especially for how young he is, and really proud of him and happy for how he did.
Back to Ben.
Yeah, just talk about what is it like being a part of an offensive unit that is, I mean, the defense has got a lot of new faces in the secondary. I asked Scotty the same question, but what's it like being a part of an offense where, You got a new quarterback. Michael Wilson's gone. Just talk about kind of the challenges and the excitement of being part of the unit, particularly up front that has a lot of new guys and everything.
Absolutely. It is really exciting. Whenever you get new faces, there's a lot of hope and promise, and I'm excited about that. It's been good. I think a young group has a lot of energy, and we've had a lot of energy, and we've really attacked it. And I think we've put a lot of onus on, we've got to step up and be the group that we can be. And many people might not be expecting much out of us, but that's not our standard, and we're gonna have to play to our standard.
Thank you, John.
Connor, you've had a chance to see USC defense on film a bit. We hear a lot about their offense, but defensively, that's going to be your task, paying attention to that. Give us an overview of what you see in the USC defense.
They play really hard. 10's got a really good motor, so it's definitely going to be a challenge. They do a lot of movement, a lot of stemming, so just got to play balanced and play smart. And as our coaches said earlier this week, if we're all wrong, we're all right. So just got to make some calls, live with it. And everything might not be picture perfect, but if we're all on the same page, it'll work out.
Troy?
You were nominated for Pac-12 Offensive Lineman of the Week. I would imagine that those awards are going to be announced here momentarily. What went right for you against the Rainbow Warriors?
There's definitely a lot to improve on. I thought I had some pretty good pass sets. We had some good duo running. I would have liked to have had a little bit better angles on my pass sets, but I thought I played very patiently and confidently. I remember when I got really my first snaps in Washington last year, we came out of the huddle, and I think it was like a 2-minute TV timeout, and my legs have never been shaking that much. So I think for this game, I was a lot more confident and just took a deep breath and kind of let everything come into place.
Ben?
Just how fun is it to have a rivalry game this early in the season? I know you guys face USC the same week every year, but just how fun is it to have a big important game in week 2?
I was thinking about the answer to this question because I knew who was going to get it this morning. And after mulling it over for a while, ultimately, this is why you play college football. When people ask, all the 6 a.m.s, and not to sound too cliche, but all the early workouts, all the time invested, all the sacrifices you have to make, 7:30 p.m., primetime kickoff, rivalry game, packed house. That's college football.
John?
Connor, one of the things they say about the offensive linemen, whatever level of football, is they're generally the smartest guys on the field. And part of being smart is anticipating what challenges will come. And at Los Angeles Coliseum, 70, 80,000 fans, going to be loud. That band's going to play interminably. Getting the calls from the center. I mean, are you sort of preparing yourself for what you guys need to do? Maybe it's going to be signals or whatnot, but just sort of talk about the challenge of sort of remaining cohesive when you've got a challenging venue here in week 2.
Right. I think once again, it's going to be important to take a deep breath and just let everything play out. It's the most important part. I remember last year and years previous when we played USC, Coach Shaw was really big on playing the fight song during practice and just 2 hours of blaring through the speaker. So that was always really helpful for me. I mean, even though I wasn't playing as much, it just kind of calmed me down. So, I don't think I can forget that fight song. I think it's ingrained in my head. So I don't think it'll be anything new, nothing surprising. And we've played in big games before, so nothing new.
Thank you. Troy?
Right now, I've got that song stuck in my head now too for the moment. Connor, you're from Tampa, which has been ACC country for quite a while. The West Coast is about to become, the Bay Area is about to become ACC country as well, starting next year. What was your reaction to the news that came out on Friday morning, and what do folks need to know about ACC country?
Yeah, I haven't thought too much into that. Coach Taylor's made a big point, really harping on the fact that what's now is now. Got to keep our feet where we are. But ultimately, I think it's really good. We found a conference, we found a home, and a very competitive and successful conference. So everyone's really excited about it. There's some really good teams, and my dad went to Wake Forest. I grew up a little bit of a Wake fan, so I think it'll be cool to have the opportunity to play some of those schools and play a lot more familiar faces from back home.
Any other questions for Connor? Ben?
Yeah, kind of on the ACC. I know a lot of you Stanford athletes are really close to each other. Is that something that has kind of come up in conversations amongst each other, or just kind of how much kind of chatter has there been amongst the Stanford student athlete community at large about the move, from what you've been able to sense?
I mean, I'm sure there's some outside rumblings, but we never really were that fazed by it. A lot of trust and faith in the administration, and we knew they'd find something for us, and they found it. And I think everyone's really excited about it. And we're glad that we're going to the ACC.
All right, that'll be the end of today's press conference.